So it again is a very special occasion for us here at Wrestling Express because we are doing another episode of Supreme Wrestling. And for whatever reason, every step of the way, I find a different way and find a different reason for me to find a reason to stay invested and to find a new reason to be invested in this database and my series with Supreme. We are approaching 1982, which means we are approaching the 10-year anniversary of the beginning of Supreme Wrestling, which makes 1982, which means that 1982 is going to be a very special year for Supreme Wrestling, and I'm not sure it's going to be bigger than 1981 or even 1980 with the culmination of Sid Street's winning the world title in 1980 and the blow off of by far one of the hottest feuds in the company, the Flames versus Star Strong, or the Flames and Star Strong. But 1982, we will have the returns of Ace McQueen and Romeo Hart. We will have a Hall of Fame and an official Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and also, well, we will have the question of who will go in and finally be the team to defeat the Flames, because the Flames right now are still the champions unless they can get past the Streets of Rage. In the month of December, they will go into 1982 still the champions. Will Mickey Starr go into 1982 still the world champion? Will these title pictures, will the title picture still be the same? We'll get to Adrian Romero as the Shooting Star champion in a second. Brooklyn Punk as the TV champion. Angus McLeod is the new United States champion. Athena is back as Vixen champion, but there are some things that don't ever change. Let's harken back to the latest big event, a sold out show in the old Hickory Tobacco Arena in the Mid Atlantic region, where Mickey Starr and Dread finally came to a head. It was years in the making, and the reason why it was years in the making is because Mighty Thor and Mickey Starr never had their meeting. So it was fitting that it was Mickey Starr and Dread, and they finally got their meeting. The Flames defeated Hollywood and Blackjack. Angus McLeod and Sam Strong again stole the show. Cronus and the One Percenters did not fail to disappoint. Kingman impressed with Adrian Romero. Athena won back the Vixen title. Gavin Stardill again kept his undefeated streak going. And Rick Rumble won via countout as the New England champion, retaining his title against Marcus McKing. To explain the Shooting Star title, the Battle Royal was held on Showcase. Adrian Romero beat 9 other people in a 10-man Battle Royal to crown the first Shooting Star champion. The Shooting Star title is my answer to the Lightweight Championship in Supreme, and the reason why we started the year forming the Women's Championship in April of 1981, and we are ending the year with the Shooting Star title is, for whatever reason, every year we seem to form a new championship. As 1979, we went with the television title, and I believe the Supreme Tag Team titles. 1980 was the New England Championship, and now 1981 was the Vixen title and the Shooting Star Championship. And the reason why we keep forming new championships is because the company's only 10 years in. It's not even 10 years in. You're not just going to keep stationary with the World Tag Team title, the World title, and the United States title, and that's it. Because that is what the company has when you first start. That is what the company has when you first start. I bought the Hollywood title as the old North American title from San Francisco. The Supreme Tag Team titles I made, and I take that back. I actually formed them in 78. I didn't realize I formed them in 78. The Summer Spectacular was a one year thing. We might bring it back next year, but because of already established plans, I replaced Summer Spectacular with the Battle Bowl. And now Battle Bowl is going to stick around, and Summer Spectacular may not. But also, King of the Squared Circle in 1982 is going to move to a different month, as is Battle Bowl. Battle Bowl is going to switch. Actually, I don't think Battle Bowl is moving. I could be wrong, but I don't actually think the Battle Bowl is moving. March. Oh, no. Yeah, Battle Bowl is moving. Because last month it was in April, I believe, or March. And yeah, it was in April, the Battle Bowl. It was at Wrestling Classic. Yeah. But it's moving 2 months back, so it's going to be June for July. So the winners of the Battle Bowl will get a shot at Supreme Challenge for the World Tag Team titles. But either way, we got this show going. So finally, with all the background out of the way, let's jump in and go through the show. Our last of the month of November. Frank Rock gets a victory over Rainbow Warrior, as Frank Rock is now solo for the very first time in, I believe, 2 years? I think that's how long I had Sky Maverick. Frank gets a victory, gets himself over. The one thing I will say with Frank Rock is Frank Rock and Mr. Noro are two guys that have been here for a tremendous amount of time, but I never really gave them the proper opportunity. I have never given them the proper opportunity to be more than just depth in the tag team division. And I mean, actually, I take that back. Frank Rock has held championships before. He is a former United States champion, I believe. So I will credit him for that. But the fact of the matter is, Frank Rock is, I don't want to say Frank Rock has been depth for the better part of the last 2 years. More than I don't want to say more than a legitimate spot, but Miss Sonoro has, but I've been trying to use both of them a little bit more and give both of them a little bit more of an opportunity to be a little bit more valuable to the company than just being depth. Even though depth can be valuable, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, depth could be valuable. I just don't know that depth is valuable enough. Mickey Starr will be featured later, and the Max Patriot. Basically, Max Patriot is with Max Fury now, and he said he is not heeding the warning of Larry Grubbs, and he is more than willing to go head to head with Max Fury, no matter what happens. He's more than willing to bring the fight to the Max Fury. Marcus McKing coming off his loss against Rick Rumble at the pay-per-view, but Marcus McKing is showing that he might be going in a different direction because I am the uncrowned king. And the fact that Benny didn't realize whose presence he was in and understand that certain rules don't apply to me because I am the uncrowned king. I understand. But in that situation, I ask Benny to appear in front of me next week and apologize for not realizing that he was in the presence of the uncrowned king. Thus, I don't get a 10 count. I stay out of the ring as royalty. I can stay out of the ring for as long as I see fit because the rules don't apply when you're the king. See, I am finally playing up Marcus's background or his gimmick of royalty. Because I believe his gimmick in APWF was the king of APWF or royalty of the royalty of APWF or something to that effect. Don't ask why my nose is itchy. I don't know, but I'm finally playing up that gimmick and playing into that gimmick. But he's going to be more the delusional king rather than you know uh he's going to be a delusional king rather than a king that is letting the power go to his head. But also, this is the first time that I'm actually using a referee as in a storyline because Benny Gordado was the referee for Rick Rumble and Marcus the King's match, so the referee is now playing a part in the story, being included in segments and you know stuff like that, which is something that I never do because but it's helping. I never do it because referees, for the most part, don't get good segments because they don't have good stats to get good segments because they're not expected to be included in the segments. They just need good referee, be a good referee. But Benny, how the match ended, it's helping play into Marcus's slow turn to the delusional heel who thinks he's a king but isn't actually a king, except, stuff like that. And it's allowing me the opportunity to again play to the bigger picture and add a little bit more depth to Marcus. He's not going to do anything to the referee because I don't believe that any of the non wrestlers, whether it be announcers or referees, should be in any way, shape, or form physically attacked by any wrestlers because they should be on the no contact list. And, you know, there's there's no there's no money in attacking or physically assaulting any of the non wrestlers because they can't get revenge on you for attacking them. So what's the point in attacking them if there's no business and no money to be made by doing that? So Carl Jackson is back in Supreme. He just returned last month, I believe, or earlier this month. And I believe it was last month actually, but he has been busy. Honestly, Carl is one of my favorite guys early. He was one of my favorite guys early on, but much like Wade Morris or Frank Rock or Mr. Noro, Carl was just pretty much depth. So when the time came to release him, I eventually got to the point where I was like, you know what, it's time, let him go. But Carl's been on free agency for a sweet minute, so I figured why not bring him, why not let him, why not bring him back, especially with the fact that he is right around the same popularity level as Amari Anjala, and allowing this to happen where him and Amari Anjala do a little bit of back and forth, it would, even in a simplistic feud where it's not going to be a big deal, but it's going to keep Amari Anjala on TV and get him, maybe it could push him to the next level. Ironically enough, one thing I would like to point out with Coach and the All Star team and Romero, Adrian Romero, is the month or two that Adrian Romero had been with Coach, Richie, and Ray Kingman, it has pulled him up from unimportant to recognizable. So his inclusion in the All Star team has done a wonderful job for him. But the reality is, Adrian Romero is not officially a member of the All Star team. He was just coach's. It was just coach's way of trying to get another little barrier in front of Ray Kingman to stop him from, to basically, coach is trying to prove that he can you know, keep himself a step ahead, keep himself a step ahead. So he's doing anything he can to keep himself a step ahead of Ray Kingman. So Adrian was it wasn't that Adrian was a member, it was that Adrian was coach's next way of trying to keep himself a step ahead. And speaking of keeping yourself a step ahead, you have now Joey Margarita showing his, premiering his little interview segment, which I think Hollywood should have did his interview segment instead. Um, but either way, the challenge is officially laid out. Luis Montero wants to be Mickey Starr's next challenger for the World Heavyweight Championship. Luis Montero wants to be Mickey Starr's next challenger, and Luis Montero is not alone, as he has the rest of his friends, Slater White, his tag team partner, and the Mastodon, alongside their manager and director, the leader of linguistics, the language wizard, Dexter Priceweather. Montero came in with a lot of fanfare from California, and now he gets to put everything he possibly can into a match against Mickey Starr. He gets to test himself against the very best, the world champion. I think that is one of the best in-ring performances that Richie Pangrazio has delivered. And it was against Vincent Summers, so that's a little crazy in my opinion. But Richie finally, Richie, even though Coach was there in spirit, Coach wasn't factored into the story or into the angle because Coach is going to be featured later with Ray Kingman. A couple weeks ago, Coach, or Ray Kingman said to Coach that he had a challenge. He had a challenge for him that he would not be able to say no to, that he could not resist, but he was going to take care of Adrian Romero first. Now that he did that, he is going to do what he can to take care of Coach's problem. Or the All-Star team. Because the reality of the situation is, Coach and Ray Kingman have been going back and forth. This rivalry has been going since April of 1981. It started with Ray Kingman and Hollywood Mike Kinsey in a battle for respect. But after Coach stepped over the line and ignored Ray Kingman and showed a lack of respect for Ray Kingman turned against the All-Star team, and since the late summer, early fall, has taken it as his personal mission to end the All-Star team in I don't know why I was going to say in this company, but in Supreme, Ray Kingman's personal mission is to end the All-Star team, and the last person that he has to defeat, the only person in the All-Star team that he has yet to defeat is Richie Pangrazio, because back in August, I believe it was, no, back in July, back at Supreme Challenge, it was the first meeting between the All-Star team members and Richie Pangrazio won. That started Ray's desire almost to go and get every other member of the All-Star team and put an end to the faction. But that's where tonight, maybe I should give Sue Prince the opportunity to feud with Athena. I think Sue is the best one. I think Sue's the best one in the division. I will credit Sam Keith that he is getting a little bit better. He is getting a little bit better. At this point in the year, he's getting a little bit better in ring, but he's still not anywhere where I want him to be yet, or where I know he could be. Him and Dredd have definitely lagged behind others, but not everyone can work or produce as well as Sam Strong did this year from his association with Mickey Starr for the better part of the last 2 years. But either way, Sam Keith wants another shot at the Brooklyn Punk, this time for the television championship. A solid main event. Honestly, I could expect nothing less from Ray Kingman. You know what? It's not going to make a difference now, so let's continue the show. As we move to the main event, the final segment, it is Ray Kingman's challenge to Coach Pangrazio. For 3 years, we've been together. I was world champion. I'm the one who defeated Mickey Starr. I ended the reign, the never ending reign. Fast forward to the fall, and Coach, you took credit for all my accomplishments. You think that I would not be in the position that I'm in without you. The segment could have been a little longer, and probably should have been a little longer, to be honest with you. I think it was 5 minutes, but um, it, Coach cuts him off and say, "Get to the point. Well, why am I here?" And the fact of the matter is, Kingman, you don't think I'm the reason why you were world champion? That I'm the reason why you finally got that that ability, you found that fire in your belly to be able to beat Mickey Starr, to be world champion? Look at where you were before me, and look at where you were because of me. You are where you are because of the All-Star team. You know what, Coach? You're right. I am where I am right now because of you. And because of that, this fire in my belly will not be quelled until you are not my problem anymore. And that comes when the All-Star team is done. So what I want is one match. One match. The one member of that faction that I have not beaten is your son. I want your son, one on one. Me and Richie. I beat Richie, then the All-Star team must disband. And you and none, no going back on it. There's no going back on it. There's nothing like that. You're done. I beat your son. You're done. The All-Star team is over. Why would I say yes to that? You like to talk, don't you, Coach? Because I wasn't done. I'm willing, I am willing to risk it all to make sure that the All-Star team is not my problem anymore. That the All-Star team is not this company's problem anymore. And these fans' problem anymore. So much so that if I can't prove my point, if I can't beat your son and end the All-Star team, then I'm willing to leave Supreme Wrestling. I'm willing to put my career in Supreme on the line if it means getting this match with your son, with that stipulation on the lot, with that stipulation in place, my career versus the All-Star team. If I win, the All-Star team disbands. If Richie wins, the All-Star team wins. I leave Supreme Wrestling. And the show goes black. We don't get an answer yet. The show goes black and we don't get an answer yet. Because it has to end in a suspenseful way, because it allows for people to question, what is Coach going to say? and it gives people a reason to come back next week. What do you think is going to happen with the All-Star team and coach? And this is also the first time that I am actually putting someone's career on the line. The last time I did this type of stipulation, it was 2 years ago when it was the only way we could end the Flames versus Deadly Gamble, where if the Flames, whomever won, either the Flames or Deadly Gamble, the losing team would not be able to team together for a year. The Flames won, and Deadly Gamble have not teamed together since because of injuries because of an injury to Ace McQueen, and that's why they have not teamed together and do not team together currently. But what happens? But what about this? What about everything being on the line for not just Ray Kingman, but Richie Pangrazio, Coach, Larry Grubbs, and the Next Fury? What about that? What about that? What about everything being on the line and nothing left to lose? That honestly is probably the perfect way. That would be the perfect way to cap things off for 1981. And also with Angus and Sam Strong still feuding and being the premier feud, being the premier feud in ring for the company, and also with Ray Kingman and Richie Pangrazio not going to disappoint, with Marcus McKing and Rick Rumble holding their own, and the Flames being the Flames. The pressure is not high on Mickey Starr, so the fact that he's feuding with people that may be lower down and his attempt to pull them up, it is not a big deal because the pressure isn't there for him to feud with somebody high up the card because it's not really necessary. And also, this is the last episode of Supreme, not just for the month of for the month of November, but it is also the last episode of Supreme Sunday Slamfest with Sid Streets as an employee of SWF, because Sid Streets was unfortunately signed by Burning Hammer. So for the first time since I started in 1977, one of the people that have held the world championship, that being Mickey Starr, Ray Kingman, Sid Streets, and Wildman Sullivan, are no longer going to be a part of the company, and ironically enough, that person is Sid Streets. But with that being said, if you're enjoying SWF as much as I am, and you want to see more of it, like at our December paper, when I finally get to the December pay-per-view and we close out 1981 on a high note, let me know down in the comment section below, or again, as normal, show the love through the views, and I will keep posting more SWF and keep sharing as my investment continues to exist and even gets stronger the longer we go. With that being said, though, that is it from me, and I will see you in the next one.